the amazing Gwendoline Christie.
Hello, 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 Heroes Comic Con Belgium. Please welcome Gwendoline Christie.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm very excited to be here and see you all.
Well, thank you. We're so excited to have you with us. And I wanted to ask, I'm just going to say, you've seen the video, so as you understood, I'm going to be asking some questions, then we're going to take a short time to receive some questions from you. Let's start and enjoy this discussion with Gwendoline Christie. I was going to say, how do you feel in such an environment where people just share their love? They take so much time building costumes, they take so much time just getting to approach you, people like you. How do you feel in such an environment with so much love?
It's an incredible thing, isn't it? I think it's really extraordinary that these conventions exist, because what it allows is an environment for us all to come together and be united in something, to be united in our love for a piece of art that's galvanized us, that's made us passionate and enthusiastic. And what I love hearing is the number of people that make friends. You know, you can find a clan here, you can find a tribe, and you can make new friendships that you might never have made before. And I love that. And it's always an extraordinary feeling coming to one of these, because it is all about love. It's great, positive energy. And I think that speaks to the power of what art can do.
Very true, very true. Thank you. Sharing more love, thank you. And we're also in Belgium, and I wonder, what's your relation to our country? Can you tell us if you've been here before and what strikes you in this place?
So I love Belgium, and I was really excited to take the opportunity to come here, because every time I come to Belgium, I have a great time. I came here in 2007. And I was doing a theatre production of Cymbeline, and with Tom Hiddleston. And we came to Belgium, and it was my first time here, and I just had the most fantastic time. There was a great energy in the theatre, and everybody was cool. You know, they were welcoming, there was a relaxed atmosphere, and there's something about Belgium that it has, you know, amazing designers, like incredible. Very true. Of course, you know, you've got the Antwerp Six, you have people like Raf Simons, Willy van der Peer, Lucas Jones, you know, there's really amazing artists that all have connections to Belgium. And so for me, it's a fascinating country, and de Meulemeister, you know, there's a great history of artistry here, but it always feels somehow just a little bit secret. It feels a little bit, you know, you don't need to broadcast. You know how great you are here.
Do we? We do.
Yeah, come on, you do, you've got to.
Thank you. I also wondered if we could go back to how you began your career. You wanted to become an athlete, and then you went to drama school. So how do you feel like maybe a more singular route towards acting shaped the way you behave in your career, professionally, on set?
Well, I really loved dance. From when I was really tiny, maybe, you know, 4 years old, I think I started doing ballet. And that was a kind of quite normal, traditional thing to do in the UK at that time, 4,000 years ago. That was a kind, you know, it's a kind of very typical thing to do. But I loved ballet so much. I loved tap dancing. I loved dance, and I really loved rhythmic gymnastics. What it was for me was an environment to be completely expressive. And I love the discipline as well. And this is something I keep coming back to, that learning the discipline of those steps, of exercising every movement, of the language of movement, of what those things mean. You know, in my mind as a child, it was fascinating to me that I could have that time to learn something, to learn a story, and then express it in only the way that I knew how from my experience. From my minuscule number of years on the planet, I could express myself and what I felt about the world, and I could do that, and other people could watch it, maybe connect to it, and hopefully enjoy it. And then from there, I wasn't going to be able to dance professionally, and I was 11 and I thought, okay, I'll just be an actress instead. And it's funny, isn't it, at the age of 11, that it's such a simple decision to make. And that came from my love of watching films, cinema, television. You know, that came from my absolute love of that portal into another world, into another realm, and the way that you could be whisked away on a journey somewhere else. You could see through someone else's eyes for a couple of hours. You could become someone else. You could be full of heart-stopping fear or absolutely, you know, engorged with anger and rage, or love, pure, lifted up with pure love for someone. You could feel someone else's love and maybe have a sensation of what it's like to fall in love with that person. It was so important to me. And I learned so much as well when I think about so many of different things I watched. It really helped to teach me about life and examine some of the ways that I thought, the people around me thought, families or towns, different attitudes, look at different cultures. I just thought it was the most beautiful experience. And then when I heard you could get paid for it, that, you know, wow, all that, and earn a living too. So I knew very firmly that's what I wanted to do. I was mad about theatre. The reason I was so mad about theatre is that I think if I'd had a camera phone and video camera, I probably would have been making my own films, because I always wanted to act on the screen.
Wasn't the case 4,000
Not 4,000 years ago. Sadly, no iPhone. But, it was important to me about the idea of the foundation of craft. So how did people first learn to act? Theatre. So that's what I will do. And I liked its similarities with dance as well. You had to learn the story, you had to learn the words, the structure of the scene. You had to be totally open to the other people around you. And that's what I loved as well. So I was very shy, and I still am shy. I'm working on it. And it really allowed me to connect with people. And I could become someone else. I could transcend my sort of own, what felt like miserable set of factors, to be someone greater, or someone worse, someone better, or someone evil, someone entirely else. But I could actually, for that time, really be engaged with somebody and pay attention to them and really listen, work on really listening to what it was they had to say. So that was revelatory to me. But I was also interested in a lot of different things too.
Yes, you moved from theatre to a lot of new
I
direction.
did. I did a lot of theatre at school. I was part of a youth theatre outside of school where we wrote our own material, and we performed in youth clubs, and that was about gender stereotyping, it was about class, it was about race, it was about lots of different societal factors and issues. When I was young, I was a teenager, I didn't really know what a lot of these things meant, but I realised now it gave me a great grounding in life. You know, it opened my mind, and it opened my mind to different ways of living a little bit. Started to open that door. But I was also fascinated in many other things. The attitude then, 4,000 years ago, was that you had one path, and that was it. If you're going to be an actor, you're going to be a classical actor, and that's all you did. And if you did anything else, you would not be taken seriously. And I thought, well, I'm not very interested in that. You know, I'm interested in all these different things. And I don't just want to do one thing. I know I love acting, but to me, finding out about how clothes are designed, finding out about how someone writes, how you take photographs, how you paint, how you draw, how you do performance art, all these different mediums of art, these different art forms, they felt significant to me in what I wanted to do.
And it's all part of the same craft in the end.
It just started to teach me so much. So I started assisting the student at Central St. Martin's, who was on the MA fashion course. And that was headed up by the legendary Louise Wilson, who was an indomitable force, an incredible brain, incredible mind, who had taught the likes of Alexander McQueen, John Galliano, Stella McCartney, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant designers. And fashion at that time in the late 90s was really, in the UK, was having a moment. It felt like the UK was starting to develop an identity in terms of fashion design, and it would seem to be more about dreams. It seemed to be about a fantasy realm, and I wanted to know about that because it was such, you know, it's an immediate form of transformation. You put on a suit, it makes you feel something. You put on a dress, it makes you feel something else. A particular pair of shoes, a different kind of garment, the way in which a designer might design something. And so I started to assist the student, and it blew my mind, because it opened me up to the concept of what is new. And I'd be in the library, and I love libraries, because knowledge is important and access to knowledge is seriously important, and it should be free. It should be. And I'd be in the library kind of, you know, chained up to the photocopier, photocopying all of the research. It's like, oh God, I've got 5 hours of photocopying to do. But I learned so much because I was looking at many, many different images. And it wasn't just design, fashion design, all sorts of different cross-references. And I was learning a different language. I was also around incredible people, and a lot of them have remained my friends now. That's where I met Kim Jones, the absolutely incredible designer of Fendi and also Dior Men's. So we have a relationship that spans 4,000 years. So we really, I'm going to keep going with it till you laugh. It's my one joke today. And so I met incredible people there. I mean, really astounding people there that are still my friends now. And it gave me a total respect for the way in which different artists work. And also about this idea of art and commerce. Because that's a tricky thing, the idea of art and creating it, but people wanting to buy it, wanting to see it, access it, to invest in it. So from there, I decided it was time, before it got too late, to go to drama school. And I went to Drama Centre London, which was a conservatoire. It had just been bought by the University of the Arts and had become a degree course. So I embarked on my degree there, and I started, and I hated it. I hated it. It was 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, plus homework, plus on Saturdays. And I was with a group of people, most of whom were younger than me, and I thought, I don't think I've got anything in common with anyone. I don't understand really kind of why I'm here. We seem to be learning a lot of the basics. On Fridays, they made you clean the school. Of course, because what it was teaching us was respect. And respect for our environment. And you had to clean the space in order to work in the space. And then you would respect it. And of course, very quickly, I found I fell in love with everybody in my year. Many of them are very close friends of mine still now. I force them to be. And they are incredible. I met the most incredible human beings on that course. And it taught me that the work wasn't just about me. It taught me that acting is about everyone else and about bringing the work and engaging to it with your heart and not being cynical, being passionate and loving and open to everybody, and actually wanting everyone to be in your audience, because then you might just change one person's mind about something if you opened yourself and to dedicate to a story and become something else. And it was truly profound. Even cleaning the school on a Friday took on a different significance. So that was really fascinating. And I was hugely, hugely fortunate to be brilliant people that loved me, understood me. The training was brutal, it's really tough.
How long was it?
It was 3 years, it was a degree. It was incredibly demanding, physically, mentally, intellectually, if you will, spiritually, academically. It was really challenging. And they'd say, you might find it hard in here, you wait till you get out into the industry. And they were right. Because actually what you could do in there was fail. And that's what they encourage you to do. Try things out, experiment. But what that taught me was something fundamental, which was always be in competition with yourself. No one else. Yourself. Bring everything to the people you're working with that you can. Listen to them, pay attention to them, and do the best you can. The next time, be better, be better. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. As David Bowie said, when you are feeling uncomfortable, when you push yourself just that little bit out of your comfort zone that you feel truly uncomfortable, then you're probably in the right place. And that's what it encouraged us to do. And I'm really grateful for that, because it's enabled me to really appreciate the ensembles I'm a part of and witness sensational performances and react to them and be a part of fabulous things with truly extraordinary people. And you know, I'll be eternally grateful for that. The only reason I was able to have a drama school education that was a degree course was because the fees were enormous for drama school, and that's not something that I could have afforded at that time. But the Labour government in the UK had introduced a scheme whereby if you were over the age of 20 and you had worked, you could do a degree as long as you took out a loan. So we did that, and it enabled a lot of people that wouldn't have been able to get degrees. It afforded us the opportunity, and I will be forever grateful for that. It has changed my life.
And you went there. Thank you for that. And then you started working. You went out there knowing that you can fail, but having to work even more. What was the thing that surprised you most when you started working on sets and going to that practical side of it?
Well, I was hugely fortunate, actually, because I think I'd finished my training, and I did an audition, and I did an audition, and 6 weeks later I started work. And my first job was with the Royal Shakespeare Company, and I wanted to do that since I was a child. So that was a dream. That was a real dream come true. And it was with a brilliant theatre director called Declan Donlan, who works with Nick Ormerod, and they run a company called Cheek by Jowl. And they work prolifically in Europe, not just UK based, in Europe. And they are extraordinary. They give a lot of young people a great first start, and they gave me my first start, and we're still great friends, and I've learned so much from Declan and Nick, and Declan's mind is truly beyond the realms of comprehension in its depth and complexity, and he's tough because he's of genius level.
Well, you said you like rules and sets.
Yeah, I mean, wow. But I've learned a huge amount, and they've always shown me complete and utter warmth and generosity. So that was my first ever job. So it was a real dream to be there and to go out on stage every night and to be in front of an audience that I'd been in since I was a child. And that was really fascinating to me. I think that I've written some notes here because I just really wanted this to be good. So I'm going to take a quick look so that I'm not boring, but if you find me boring, there's nothing really I can do about it. I wrote the notes.
It's all going very well.
I tried with the notes, but I have to say I found the industry quite conventional. I found it quite conventional. I've always loved art house cinema, world cinema, performance artists, video artists, film, television, and I found what I was receiving was no a lot, simply based on the way that I look. And I sort of thought that would be the case, but it was shocking. I was told, because you're very tall as a woman, you will never work on screen. Because,
there you go.
Because it doesn't work. Because that's not how society is. Because that's not what people want to see. But I believed there was something else. I believed that the world would change, was changing. And I also believed, at the very least, if I just hung on there long enough, I might get a chance to do what I always wanted to do. And I was very, very lucky. There is so much in the acting industry that is about hard work, and there's even more that's about luck and timing. And I was hugely fortunate. Some wonderful people gave me great opportunities, and I worked as hard as I possibly could. And I've found that I've loved every second of it. And it's what I want to keep doing. And I see the world changing. It is changing. We have to keep pushing. We have to keep saying we want to see ourselves represented on our screens. We want to see our stories. There are more stories. We deserve to be seen. We have to keep pushing for that, and we have to keep supporting the stories that are out there. But things are changing, and we should be full of joy and happiness for that, and celebration, because we're seeing the change. But we must keep pushing.
And we get to thank you for that as well. I mean, we're part of the solution, and things are changing, yes. And then you joined some long-lasting shows where you got to actually take the time to see the change happen and work on that. How does it feel to get the opportunity of time to work on something, and to bear the fruits?
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it? Because when I think about, should I do it again, 4,000 years ago when I was growing up and there was only kind of one format of television and one format of cinema, I won't do the joke again, maybe at the end. But things have changed so much, because we can now spend 10 hours with a character. We can now spend maybe 70 or 80 hours with a character. We can really start to invest in a world. We can be taken somewhere else. And as an actor, it affords me the opportunity to start to really work in depth, because what we all forget about is the magic of time. Because when we have the time for something, we really start to develop a deep relationship with it. And all sorts of feelings and emotions start to come about, complexities, things that don't quite make sense, but it's believable, because that's who we are as humans. We're complex, it doesn't make sense, it's repetitive, it's different, it's idiosyncratic, it's large, it's small, it's everything. It doesn't make sense. And this is what we start to see in our new age of how we receive entertainment and stories, which is so radically different over the last 10 years. We develop a different relationship. And I think as an audience, we all become much more invested in stories and characters. We really do. They can become a part of our lives, you know, and they're things that we can carry with us for a long time. They can have even more meaning. So from my perspective, it's really fascinating. I also love the quick ones. I love to pop in and out. That is sensational. We're going to do something, we're going to do it for no money, we're going to do it really quickly, and bam, go, and then you're gone. That's something fabulous about that too, because it's like a firework.
And I also feel like many of your characters have struck a chord because they're a bit outside of the norm. You've touched upon this, like you weren't the norm, let's say. Does it come with a weight or with pleasure to realize that so many people out there are connecting with that, with the margin in a way?
I feel it's of utmost importance that we continue to see our world represented on our screens. I really do. Because I also, well, I mean, we do, don't we? It's more interesting that way. We get to see something else. I want to look through millions of people's eyes. I want to see millions, or how many people are there in the world? 7 billion? Yeah, I want to see 8 billion experiences because I want to see the aliens too.
I'll sign for that. I'll sign.
You know, there's so much that hasn't been given a voice. There's so many people that haven't been given a voice. We don't know their story yet. And so that's what we should see. Again, back in drama school, we were encouraged to experiment. We were told to have a range. So I was very lucky in that I was given a very wide range of parts, really wide range of parts. I remember, you know, I was given the part of a nanny in her late 70s with an arthritic spine and a generally bad temper. Some people could say that's typecasting. For me at that time, I'm joking, it's a joke. But for me at that time, that was, you know, that was a stretch. It was always play something else, play something different. When I was at school, I always wanted to play the men's parts because to me, they seemed to have more to them at that time. I wanted to play Macbeth. I wanted to play all the parts in Macbeth, but I wanted to play Hamlet, I still do. You know, I wanted just to try different things out. And also to, in some way, in some small way, to give a voice to an experience that people can feel is niche, that can feel maybe isn't a part of the mainstream. It's nice to go there. It's somewhere that I've felt myself. I've been very, very lucky with my work. I really have. But that feeling never goes away. And I think many of us can say that. Once you feel outside, it doesn't stop that feeling. However, as a creative, it can be an incredibly rich, fertile place to be because there is a lot there. There's a lot to mine, and there's always the dazzling nature of the unique, or of the little scene, or of something that might be a set of emotions that doesn't necessarily make sense, but we experience once in our life. To give voice to that is to give voice to humanity.
And it feels like you're never really typecast in a way, because we've seen you as a baddie, as a goodie, as everything. And we know that producers like to, when something works, you get the call for the same kind of roles, yet it doesn't seem to happen to you. What do you bring to the table that allows people to think of you freely?
Well, there's an awful lot of hard work on my part and the brilliant people that I work with, in that I made it very clear from the beginning, okay, I might not be in a position to do this, but I don't just want to play the same part again and again and again. And again, it goes back to my drama school training, it goes back to my art school experiences, it goes back to the work that I've done with artists, which is about experimentation. And I want to keep invested in the work, with my mind, with my heart and my soul. I want to find something fascinating each time. There's no interest to me, or I think really anyone else, in just repeating yourself. And so you have to work really hard. Often that can mean saying no to things. It can mean saying no to things that may benefit you in other ways, but if you have to listen to the artist, the creative within you that says, I must experiment, I must do something else, and I must connect to the world in a range of ways. It means that you might not constantly have things pumping out all the time, but maybe that affords you a little bit more space, a little bit more spaciousness to really connect to your character and to do something else. So I've made it my mission, and I will continue to, because I want to transform. I want to be a chameleon. It's how I feel I am. It's undeniable in me. I want to be multiple things. I want to see the world through those 8 billion sets of eyes, including the aliens.
Again, thank you for that. And you just used the word transformation. I feel like we should mention the strike that we've mentioned in this clip. What is it you think we should hope for as changes in the industry through the strike? It's not just about defending something that we had, it's also about building something for the future. What do you hope for the future?
I am extremely saddened that it has come to this. And I hope that creatives' contributions can be recognized in a way that is respectful and swiftly. When we make art, we are communicating part of ourselves. We are communicating what it is to be human. And we give something of ourselves. It is an art form. And it can connect us to people and change our minds about things in ways in which we never thought possible. And I think it's beautiful and exquisite and ephemeral, and everyone who contributes to the creative process deserves to be recognized. And we deserve to share in the success. I support SAG as a union. I am a proud member. And I support the WGA in fighting for what is fair and just for its members.
The WGA being the Writers?
Writers Guild America and the Screen Actors Guild. I look forward to all of us being able to get back to work and create again. And with regards to the future, there are so many facets that are shifting that I wouldn't dare to guess how it may look. But I am hopeful, and I'm grateful for every opportunity I get to participate in it.
Thank you. We're gonna open the floor for some questions. There are volunteers in the room that will see your hands getting higher and higher. So if you have a question, don't hesitate and raise that hand. As we mentioned before, please no mention of shows or roles. If a question's crosses that line, I will smile, I will receive it, but I will move to the next one. So please, volunteers, could you please hand a mic to someone, and when that person receives that mic, please speak very closely to your mic so we can hear you properly. So up to you. I don't know where it's going to start. Are we getting there? Is it? Okay, so this is the mic, and you can choose a hand. So those are the 2 technical minutes we're reaching that point. Okay. Bear with us, bear with us. There we go. Okay. Yes, please.
So,
very closely, yes.
Yeah, I'm very tall as well, and I struggle with every day because I don't want to be in the spotlight or anything. I always feel like people are looking at me because I'm so tall. If you are very confident in it, you look like you're confident. How do you do that? And you're gorgeous, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, you want me to answer? Okay, it's tough. You know it's tough. It's tough to answer this one. But human beings. I've mentioned them a lot in this Q&A, almost as much as the joke about being 4,000 years old, which isn't getting any funnier. But human beings, the beautiful thing about human beings is that we are all so different. And whatever you feel or I feel is the thing that makes us different to everyone else. What you can be secure in the knowledge of is that every single other person in this world has that thing too. And if you invest in that knowledge, it is the thing that unites us. It is the thing that shows us we are more than the things that divide us, and we are connected. And invest in that connectivity. And when people stare at you because you are tall and they see you, try, hello. And you don't know where it might take you, but I understand. But try it. Try the connection. And you are beautiful. Everyone is beautiful by the nature of being human. Okay?
Thank you. Next question. Does somebody have the blue cube in their hands? It's happening. Yes. Please speak very close to the cube.
Here? Yes. My question is...
A bit louder, please.
My question is, if you could give your 20-year-old self an advice, what would it be?
What age?
20.
That was fairly recent.
Of course, I see that.
I know it doesn't work with the joke about being 4,000 years old, but anyway, so being 20 years old, gosh, it's so funny 20, isn't it? Because everybody sort of treats you like you're an adult. You're an adult now. You shut this down, you should know what to do. But actually, you still feel quite little, really. And in terms of the world, you are quite little. And it's a bit of a, I don't know. I think the thing that I would have told my 20-year-old self is, it's going to be all right. Because the brilliant photographer David Bailey once said to me, when I was lucky enough to be photographed by him, he talked about Mark Twain, who's his favorite author, and he said to me, people have been people for millions of years. And when it feels like things are so extraordinarily difficult, so challenging, so impossible, I think just the knowledge that everything is going to be all right, because people have been people for millions of years.
Wise words.
Not my words.
Good to know that. We have time for one or two more questions. Does somebody have a cue in their head? I think so. Yes, please speak very close to the cue for your question.
Okay, hi. I'm studying media and entertainment. Do you have any tips for me for the beginning?
A bit louder, please.
Louder? I study media and entertainment. It's a high school, university. And do you have any tips for me to start my career in that business?
Thank you.
No. No, I can't say I seem to have learnt anything through these 4,000 years. Got a bit more of a laugh then. But don't give up. That's it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And be resolved that every time you're told no, that if you want to, and you believe it enough, and you do the work, and you work hard, and you push yourself, and you truly do your best, and you're committed, just don't take no for an answer.
Well, now we have time for one last question, and somebody already had the cue. Go for your question, the last one.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that I really love you and you're beautiful, and it just means everything to me that I can talk to you right now. And I want to ask, what was it like to work with Elizabeth Moss on Top of the Lake, China Girl? And would you like to work with her?
Sorry.
Again?
Thank you for the question and for sharing the love, but this is a question that would be outside of the lines of this conference specifically. Do you have another in mind that you want to ask on the spot? Or should we move the cube around?
I have another
Yes.
question. Are you planning to come to Germany again soon?
If I'm invited to Germany, I will go to Germany.
Thank you. That's it for us. Please, a huge round of applause for the amazing Gwendoline Christie.